The jungle world of Kepler 442 be stretched. Endlessly beneath the research station's viewport, Dr. Amy Brooks pressed her face against the glass, watching the massive trees sway in the alien wind. Purple leaves danced through the air like confetti. Strange bird-like creatures with 4 wings swooped between the branches. This was her 3rd month studying the planet's wildlife, and she still felt amazed by its beauty. "Amy, they're ready for you in the meeting room," called Jake Morrison. From across the lab, the security chief looked nervous, which was unusual for the former Marine. His hand rested on his weapon as he spoke. Amy turned from the window. "Are you worried about this meeting?" Jake shrugged. "First contact with a new species always makes me nervous. These Zephyrians sound dangerous. Tiger-like aliens who call themselves warriors? That's not exactly friendly." Dr. Kevin Walsh looked up from his computer screen. The behavioral specialist had been studying the communication records all morning. "Their language patterns suggest they're intelligent and organized. They use complex social structures. We should be fine if we follow proper protocols." Maria Santos adjusted her headset at the communications station. "I'm getting another message from their ship. They want to begin the meeting in 10 minutes. Amy nodded and gathered her notes. This was the moment she had trained for her entire career. First contact with an intelligent alien species was rare. The Zephyrians had appeared in orbit 3 days ago in a sleek metal ship. Their first message had been simple: "We wish to speak with the humans who study the Great Hunt." The meeting room was small but comfortable. A large screen dominated one wall, showing the interior of the alien ship. The humans sat around a metal table, waiting. Amy felt her heart beating faster as the screen flickered to life. The creature that appeared on screen was magnificent and terrifying. Veltar stood nearly 8 feet tall, with golden fur marked by black stripes. His face was distinctly feline, with large fangs and bright yellow eyes. Muscle rippled beneath his fur as he moved. He wore simple metal armor that looked both decorative and functional. "Greetings, humans." Veltar's voice came through the translator with a low rumble. "I am Huntmaster Veltar of the Zephyrian Pride. We have traveled far to meet your species." Amy cleared her throat. "Welcome, Huntmaster." "I'm Dr. Amy Brooks, leader of this research team. We're honored by your visit." Veltar's ears twitched. "We have heard stories of humans across the galaxy. Stories of your hunting skills, your persistence, your—" He paused, searching for words. "Your unique way of seeing prey." Jake leaned forward slightly. "We're scientists, not hunters. We study the wildlife here for research purposes." The alien's yellow eyes fixed on Jake's face. For a moment, Veltar said nothing. His expression changed from curiosity to something like recognition. Then his eyes widened in what looked like surprise or fear. "Your eyes," Veltar whispered. "You have the ancient gaze." Amy frowned. "I'm sorry, I don't understand. What do you mean by ancient gaze?" Veltar's powerful form seemed to shrink back from the screen. His fur stood on end and his tail lashed nervously. "Where did you get those eyes? How do you carry the mark of the first hunt?" Kevin stepped closer to the screen. "Huntmaster, we're not sure what you're referring to. Could you explain what you see in our eyes?" The alien warrior's breathing became rapid. He looked from one human face to another, his expression growing more disturbed with each glance. "This cannot be. The first hunters vanished long ago. Their bloodline was lost to time." Maria tried to keep her voice calm. "We'd like to understand what you're seeing. Can you describe it?" Veltar stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. "I must consult with the Pride Elders. This meeting is over." The screen went dark before anyone could respond. The humans sat in stunned silence. Amy was the first to speak. "What just happened?" "We barely said anything." Jake ran his hand through his hair. "He looked scared. I've never seen a predator that size look frightened before." Kevin was already taking notes. He mentioned the ancient gaze and the first hunt. Those sound like historical references, maybe religious or cultural concepts. Amy stood and walked to the window. Below, she could see movement in the jungle. A pack of thorn moths was approaching the base of their research. Station. The massive saber cats were the planet's apex predators, each one weighing over 600 pounds. Their dark fur and curved fangs made them look like creatures from nightmares. "That's strange," Amy said. "The Thornmaws usually avoid our station," Jake joined her at the window. "Maybe they're hunting something?" But as they watched, the Thornmaws did something unexpected. Instead of hunting, they sat down in a circle around the base of the station. Their yellow eyes were turned upward, staring at the windows where the humans stood. Amy felt a chill run down her spine. "Kevin, come look at this." The behavioral specialist joined them. "I've never seen predators behave like this. They're not showing aggression or fear. It's more like—" He paused, thinking, like recognition. One of the largest Thornmaws stood on its hind legs, placing its front paws against the station's outer wall. Its eyes locked with Amy's through the window. For a moment, the two predators stared at each other. Amy felt something pass between them, a wordless understanding that made her hands shake. "They're looking at us the same way Veltar did," Jake said quietly. Maria's voice came over the intercom. "Dr. Brooks, I'm getting readings from all over the planet. Large predators are moving toward research stations and human settlements. They're not attacking, just gathering." Amy couldn't look away from the Thornmaw's eyes. "Kevin, start recording everything, document every behavior, every movement." "What do you think is happening?" Kevin asked. Amy finally stepped back from the window. The Thornmaw watched her move, its head tilting slightly. "I think we've stumbled onto something bigger than first contact. Something that connects humans to every predator on this planet." Outside, more Thornmaws emerged from the jungle. They sat in silence, watching the humans with ancient eyes that seemed to recognize something they had not seen in millions of years. That night, Amy lay in her bunk staring at the ceiling. The Thornmaws were still there, keeping their vigil. Veltar's words echoed in her mind. The ancient gaze and the first hunt, what did they mean? And why did every predator on this world look at humans like they were seeing ghosts? She closed her eyes, but sleep wouldn't come. Something told her that this was just the beginning of a mystery that would change everything humans thought they knew about their place in the galaxy. Captain Lisa Turner stood on the bridge of the exploration vessel Starlight, reading reports from colonies across human space. Each message told the same strange story. On world after world, apex predators were reacting to humans in ways that defied explanation. "Captain, we have another transmission from Fenris Prime," announced Lieutenant Garcia from the communications station. Lisa nodded. "Put it through." The holographic display showed Dr. Nathan Price, a comparative psychologist, working at the ice research station. His breath formed clouds in the cold air as he spoke. "Captain Turner, the situation here is getting more unusual by the day. The Froststalkers are gathering around our base in larger numbers." Lisa had read about the Froststalkers in the mission briefings. They were massive, bear-like creatures that ruled the frozen wastelands of Fenris Prime. Each one stood 10 feet tall and weighed over 1,000 pounds. Their white fur and black claws made them perfectly suited for hunting in the endless winter. Are they showing aggression?" Lisa asked. Dr. Price shook his head. "That's just it, Captain. They're not aggressive at all. Yesterday, one of our researchers, Elena Rodriguez, was collecting ice samples about a mile from the base. A Froststalker approached her, and she froze in fear. But the creature just sat down and stared at her. Elena said it looked at her like it knew her." Lisa frowned. "That matches the reports from other worlds. What's your theory, Doctor?" "I've been studying animal behavior for 20 years, Captain. I've never seen anything like this. These predators are reacting to something specific about humans. Something in our appearance or behavior that triggers recognition." The transmission ended, and Lisa turned to her science officer. "Commander Hayes, what's the status of our investigation?" Commander Hayes pulled up a star map showing human colonies across the galaxy. Red dots marked locations where unusual predator behavior had been reported. "We now have confirmed reports from 17 different worlds, Captain. The pattern is consistent across all of them." Lisa studied the map. "Show me the details." The display changed to show images and data from each world. On the desert planet Araki's Delta, the serpentine sand wraiths had stopped attacking human mining operations. Instead, they coiled at a safe distance, watching the miners with their black eyes. The creatures were 50 feet long and deadly venomous, but they seemed reluctant to strike humans on the ocean world of Poseidon's Rest. The massive depth hunters had begun surfacing near human underwater research stations. The whale-like predators normally stayed in the deepest parts of the ocean, but now they floated near the surface, their intelligent eyes focused on the humans working above. "Captain," called Elena Rodriguez over the ship's intercom. She had been transferred to the Starlight after her encounter on Fenris Prime. "I have a call from the Void Hunters." Lisa's blood ran cold. The Void Hunters were a spacefaring species that controlled 3 star systems. They looked like massive wolves that walked on 2 legs, and their ships were the fastest in known space. Most species feared them, and they rarely communicated with others. "Put them through," Lisa ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing the interior of a Void Hunter ship. The creature that appeared was 7 feet tall with silver fur and glowing blue eyes. His name was Stormfang Kairos, and he was the pack leader of the most powerful Void Hunter clan. "Human Captain," Kairos spoke in a deep, growling voice. "I am Stormfang Kairos of the Night Runners. We must speak." Lisa tried to keep her voice steady. "What can we do for you, Stormfang?" Kairos leaned forward, his blue eyes intense. "Your species carries something that should not exist. We have ruled the void between stars for 10,000 years. We know the old stories, we know the ancient signs." "I'm not sure what you mean," Lisa replied. "Look at me, human," Kairos commanded. "Look directly into my eyes." Lisa hesitated, then met the alien's gaze. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Kairos pulled back, his fur standing on end. "There," he whispered. "The mark of the first hunt." "How do you carry the eyes of the ancestors?" Lisa felt the same confusion that other humans had reported. "Stormfang, we don't understand what you're seeing. Can you explain?" Kairos began pacing on the screen, his massive form moving with predatory grace. "Long ago, before the stars were young, there were hunters. The first hunters. They taught all predators how to stalk, how to kill, how to survive. Their bloodline was lost when the Great Darkness came." Commander Hayes stepped forward. "Are you saying humans are related to these first hunters?" "Not related," Kairos growled. "You are them. Or close enough that it makes no difference. Your eyes hold the same focus, the same hunger, the same calculating stare that marked the first predators." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. "That's impossible. Humans evolved on Earth. We have fossil records going back millions of years." Kairos's laugh was more like a snarl. "Fool, you think time and space mean nothing to those who shaped the hunt? You carry their mark whether you know it or not." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the bridge in silence. Lisa stared at the empty screen, her mind racing. If what Kairos said was true, then humans were connected to some ancient species that had influenced predators across the galaxy. "Captain," Commander Hayes said quietly, "I'm receiving more reports. The pattern is spreading." Lisa looked at the new data. On the jungle world of Verdant, the tree-dwelling stalkers had begun following human researchers from branch to branch. On the volcanic world of Infernus, the fire-breathing magma beasts had stopped attacking human geologists and instead watched them work from a distance. Dr. Price's voice came over the communication system. "Captain, I've been analyzing the behavior patterns. These predators aren't just curious about humans. They're showing respect, maybe even fear." Lisa walked to the observation window, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, on dozens of worlds, apex predators were recognizing something in human eyes that humans themselves didn't understand. "Commander Hayes, I want you to contact Earth Command. Tell them we need every xenobiologist and evolutionary expert they can spare. If we're connected to some ancient species, we need to know how and why." "Yes, Captain." "What about the predators?" "On the various worlds," Lisa turned back to the bridge. "Tell all colonies to document everything. Every interaction, every behavior, every reaction. If we're going to solve this mystery, we need data. As the starlight changed course for the nearest research station, Lisa couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the edge of a discovery that would change everything humans thought they knew about themselves and their place in the galaxy. The ancient gaze that predators saw in human eyes was more than just recognition. It was a key to understanding something that had been lost for millions of years, and Lisa was determined to find out what it was. Professor Carl Mitchell stepped carefully through the ancient cave on the world of Petra 7. His flashlight beam danced across stone walls covered in strange paintings. The images were millions of years old, but the colors were still bright and clear. Behind him, Dr. Ruby Chun photographed every detail while Alex Thompson recorded measurements. "Professor, look at this," Alex called from deeper in the cave. "These paintings are different from anything we've seen before." Carl moved toward the young graduate student. On the wall in front of them was a painting that made him stop breathing. It showed bipedal figures with forward-facing eyes hunting a massive beast. The hunters moved in a line, following their prey across what looked like an endless plain. "This is persistence hunting," Carl whispered. "The same method early humans used on Earth." Dr. Chun joined them, her camera clicking rapidly. "But Professor, these cave paintings are 8 million years old. Humans didn't exist yet." Carl studied the figures more closely. They were definitely not human, but something about their posture and the way they held their heads was familiar. Most importantly, their eyes were drawn as perfect circles facing forward, just like human eyes. "Alex, are you getting readings on the paint composition?" Carl asked. Alex checked his scanner. "The materials are local to this planet, but the binding agents are unlike anything in our databases. This paint should have faded millions of years ago." Carl moved his light across the wall. The hunting scene continued for nearly 50 feet, showing the same bipedal figures chasing different types of prey. Some creatures looked like the predators they had encountered on other worlds. Others were completely alien. "Professor," Dr. Chun said, "I'm seeing something else here. Look at the eyes of the prey animals." Carl followed her pointing finger. The animals being hunted all had eyes on the sides of their heads like typical prey species. But in the final panels of the painting, some of the prey had evolved forward-facing eyes, like predators. "It's like they're showing evolution in progress," Alex said. "The prey becoming predators over time." Dr. Chun pulled up images on her tablet. "Professor, I need to show you something. These paintings aren't unique to this world." The screen showed photographs from 2 other planets. On the ice world of Glacius, explorers had found similar cave paintings in frozen caverns. On the desert world of Sahara X, archaeologists had discovered the same hunting scenes carved into canyon walls. 3 different worlds, all showing the same story, Carl said. "But that's impossible unless the same species visited all 3 worlds, Doctor." Chun finished. "Professor, I think we're looking at evidence of an ancient spacefaring civilization." Carl sat down on a rock, his mind racing. A civilization that existed before any of the species we know today. A civilization of persistence hunters. Alex was examining another section of the wall. "Professor, there's more over here. This looks like a star map." Carl and Dr. Chun hurried over. The painting showed a spiral galaxy with specific stars marked in bright colors. Lines connected. The stars forming what looked like travel routes between worlds. "If this is accurate, they visited hundreds of worlds," Dr. Chun said. "Maybe thousands." Carl traced the lines with his finger. But why? What were they looking for? The answer came from the final painting in the cave. It showed the bipedal hunters standing around what looked like pools of water. In the pools were different creatures, some that looked like early versions of known alien species. The hunters were placing something into the pools, and the creatures were changing. "They were seeding life," Carl breathed. "They were spreading their genetic material across the galaxy." Dr. Ching took more photographs. "Professor, this would explain why predators from different worlds all recognize something in human eyes. If humans are the closest descendants of these ancient hunters, then we would carry their genetic markers." Alex was running calculations on his tablet. Based on the star positions in this map, these paintings were made approximately 12 million years ago. That's long before any of the current galactic civilizations. Carl stood up, his excitement growing. We need to contact Earth Command immediately. This discovery changes everything we know about evolution and galactic history. Professor, Dr. Chun said, there's something else. Look at the final image. At the very end of the cave was a painting. That showed the bipedal hunters standing together, but their bodies were becoming transparent. Around them, the creatures they had created were growing stronger and more developed. They're disappearing, Alex said. But the species they created are thriving, Carl nodded. They didn't just seed life across the galaxy. They sacrificed themselves to do it. They gave up their own existence to ensure that the hunt would continue through other species. Dr. Chun was studying the transparent figures. Professor, look at their eyes in this final painting. They're glowing. Carl looked closer. The eyes of the disappearing hunters were painted with a luminescent material that still glowed faintly after millions of years. The same glow could be seen in the eyes of the creatures they had created. The ancient gaze, Carl whispered. That's what the alien predators are seeing. We carry the genetic memory of the first hunters. When they look at us, they're seeing their own ancestors. Alex was already packing equipment. We need to get this information to the research teams on other worlds. If there are more caves like this, we might be able to piece together the complete story. Carl took one last look at the cave paintings. The ancient hunters had given up everything to spread the gift of the hunt across the galaxy. Now, millions of years later, their descendants were finally meeting each other among the stars. Ruby, I want you to make detailed copies of everything. These paintings are the key to understanding why humans are recognized by predators across the galaxy. Dr. Chun nodded, her camera still clicking. Professor, do you think there are more of these sites? Carl smiled. I think we're going to find evidence of these ancient hunters on every world where life exists. They didn't just visit random planets, they had a plan. As they left the cave, Carl couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Not by anything dangerous, but by the ancient spirits of the first hunters, satisfied that their story was finally being told. The truth was more incredible than anyone had imagined. Humans weren't just another species in the galaxy. They were the living legacy of the beings who had taught every predator how to hunt, how to survive, and how to recognize the fire that burns in the eyes of a true hunter. Commander Sam Davis stood in the observation deck of the Joint Research Vessel Unity, watching the massive structure ahead of them. The ancient facility hung in space near the galactic core, its dark metal surface reflecting the light of distant stars. After 3 months of following the star maps from the cave paintings, they had finally found it. Commander, the scan results are coming in, reported Dr. Michelle Taylor from the science station. The evolutionary biologist had joined the expedition specifically to study the genetic evidence they hoped to find. Sam nodded. What are we looking at, Doctor? The structure is approximately 50,000 years old, but the materials are unlike anything in our databases. It's definitely artificial, and it's massive. The facility is over 10 miles long. Tony Garcia, the diplomatic attaché, looked up from his communications panel. Commander, we're getting responses from the alien members of our team. The Zephyrians are calling it the Hall of First Memory. The Void Hunters are referring to it as the Den of the Ancient Pack. Sam turned to look at their alien colleagues. Representatives from 12 different species had joined the expedition after learning about the cave paintings. Each species had their own legends about ancient hunters, and all of them pointed to this location. Commander, Dr. Taylor continued, I'm detecting power signatures from inside the structure. Whatever this is, it's still active after all these years. Sam made his decision. Prepare the boarding shuttles. We're going in. 2 hours later, Sam led a mixed team of humans and aliens through the corridors of the ancient facility. The walls were covered in the same luminescent material they had seen in the cave paintings, providing a soft blue glow that made everything look dreamlike. The atmosphere is breathable for all our species, reported Dr. Taylor, checking her. Scanner, whatever built this place designed it for visitors. They reached a vast chamber at the center of the facility. The room was filled with crystalline structures that pulsed with soft light. In the center stood a platform with what looked like a control console. "Commander," called Alex Thompson, who had joined the expedition from Professor Mitchell's team. "There are symbols on this console that match the cave paintings." Sam approached the console carefully. The symbols were glowing brighter as he got closer. When he placed his hand on the surface, the entire chamber came alive with light and sound. A holographic figure appeared above the console. It was tall and bipedal, with the same forward-facing eyes they had seen in the cave paintings. When it spoke, the words came through their translators in each species' native language. "Welcome, children of the hunt," the figure said. "I am the keeper of memory, the last voice of the firstborn. You have followed the trail we left, and now you are ready to learn the truth." Sam felt his heart racing. "We're speaking with one of the ancient hunters," the keeper nodded. "We were the first to achieve consciousness in this galaxy. The first to understand that the hunt was not just about survival, but about growth and evolution. We learned that the greatest hunt was not for prey, but for understanding." Dr. Taylor stepped forward. "What happened to your people? Why did you disappear?" The keeper's expression became sad. "We discovered that our greatest achievement would require our greatest sacrifice. We had the power to seed life across the galaxy, to create countless species that would carry the spirit of the hunt. But to do so, we had to give up our own existence." The chamber around them changed, showing images of the galaxy as it was millions of years ago. Barren worlds slowly came alive with the touch of the firstborn. "We traveled to every world that could support life," the keeper continued. "We planted the seeds of consciousness and hunting instinct. Each species we created carried a part of our genetic code, our memories, our understanding of the hunt." Tony Garcia asked, "But why? Why sacrifice yourselves for other species?" "Because we learned that the ultimate hunt was not about dominance, but about legacy. We could live forever as a single species, or we could become eternal by living through thousands of species across the galaxy." The images changed to show the evolution of different alien species. Each one developed the characteristics of apex predators, but in different ways suited to their worlds. "Every predator in the galaxy carries our genetic memory," the keeper explained. "When they see certain traits, certain behaviors, certain ways of looking at the world, they recognize the ancient patterns we programmed into their DNA." Sam looked at the alien members of their team. "That's why they all react to human eyes. We must carry more of the original genetic code than other species." The keeper turned to Sam. "Humans are not just another species we created. You are our most complete descendants. When we gave up our physical forms, we concentrated our remaining essence into a single world. That world became Earth." Dr. Taylor was frantically taking notes. "Commander, this explains everything. The genetic markers, the predatory instincts, the recognition response from other species. Humans are the closest living relatives to the firstborn," the keeper nodded. "But you are not meant to rule the galaxy as we once did. You are meant to unite it. Every species out there carries a piece of the ancient hunt. Together you are stronger than any single species could be alone." The chamber filled with genetic data and evolutionary charts. Dr. Taylor studied them with growing excitement. "Commander, this information shows the genetic connections between all the major species. We're literally all related through the firstborn." Sam felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. "What do you want us to do with this knowledge?" The keeper smiled. "Share it. Help the galaxy understand that the hunt was never about destroying each other. It was about working together to face the greatest challenges. The real predators are not other species, but the forces that threaten all life." Alex was studying the star maps on the walls. "Commander, these charts show threats from outside the galaxy. Something is coming." The keeper's expression became serious. "The great hunt continues, but now the prey is something that could destroy all life in the galaxy. The Firstborn prepared you for this moment, all of you. Sam looked at his mixed team of humans and aliens. We need to get this information back to our governments, all of them. The Keeper began to fade. The facility will remain active for those who seek knowledge. But remember, the strength of the hunt lies not in the individual hunter, but in the pack that hunts together. As the hologram disappeared, Sam realized that everything had changed. Humans weren't special because they were superior to other species. They were special because they were the genetic librarians of the galaxy, carrying the most complete record of what connected all life. The ancient gaze that predators saw in human eyes wasn't just recognition of ancestry. It was the recognition of family, of shared purpose, of the unity that the Firstborn had planned for their children across the stars. General Paul Roberts stood in the war room on Earth, watching the tactical displays with growing concern. 3 weeks had passed since news of the Firstborn discovery spread across the galaxy. The reaction had been swift and divided. "General, we have reports coming in from the outer colonies," announced Colonel Martinez from the communications station. "The Crimson Talon Empire has launched attacks on New Haven and Prosperity Station." Paul studied the enemy ship movements on the main screen. The Crimson Talon Empire was a militaristic species that looked like massive red birds with sharp beaks and powerful talons. They had controlled their sector of space through fear and violence for centuries. "What's their stated reason for the attacks?" Paul asked. Dr. Sarah Kim, the diplomatic xenobiologist, looked up from her datapad. "Their war leader, Skyripper Vex, claims that humans are false inheritors of the Firstborn legacy. He says only the strongest species should carry the ancient bloodline." Paul frowned. The Crimson Talons had always been aggressive, but this was different. They were trying to wipe out humanity based on genetic heritage. "General," called Marcus Johnson from the Colonial Affairs desk, "I'm getting emergency signals from 15 human colonies. The Crimson Talons aren't just attacking military targets. They're going after civilian settlements." The tactical display showed red enemy ships moving toward human worlds across 3 star systems. Each attack was coordinated and brutal. The Crimson Talons weren't interested in conquest. They wanted extinction. "Sir," Dr. Kim said, "we're receiving communications from other species. The Zephyrians are offering military support. So are the Void Hunters and the Frostwalker clans from Fenris Prime." Paul was surprised. "They're willing to fight alongside us?" "More than that, General. They're saying that attacking humans is attacking the sacred bloodline of the Firstborn. Many species consider it a religious crime." The communications panel lit up with incoming messages. Stormfang Kyras of the Void Hunters appeared on screen first. "Human General, the Night Runners. Stand with the children of the first hunt. The Crimson Talons dishonor the ancient ways." The screen split to show Huntmaster Veltar of the Zephyrians. "General Roberts, the Pride offers our claws in defense of the sacred lineage. Those who would destroy the ancient blood must be stopped." Paul felt a mix of gratitude and concern. "We appreciate your support, but this could turn into a galactic war." Veltar's ears flattened against his head. "General, you do not understand. The Firstborn genetic code exists in all of us, but humans carry the most complete version. If the Crimson Talons succeed in destroying humanity, they could potentially destroy the genetic key to our shared heritage." Dr. Kim stepped forward. "General, the alien species aren't just offering to help. They're demanding the right to help. In their view, defending humans is defending their own ancestry." The tactical display updated with new information. Elaid. Ships from 12 different species were moving toward human space. The Zephyrian Pride was sending their fastest warships. The Void Hunters were mobilizing their entire fleet. Even species that had never interacted with humans before were joining the defense. "General," Marcus called out, "we have a problem. The Crimson Talons are targeting the Firstborn facility at the Galactic core. If they destroy it, all the genetic data and historical records could be lost forever." Paul realized the true scope of the crisis. They're not just trying to destroy humans. They're trying to destroy the evidence of our shared heritage. Colonel Martinez was coordinating with the Allied fleets. Sir, Admiral Karen Lee is requesting permission to lead a joint task force to defend the facility. She says the alien commanders are willing to follow human leadership in this operation. Paul considered the situation. Humanity had gone from being alone in the galaxy to being the symbolic center of a massive alliance. The responsibility was overwhelming. Dr. Kim, what's your assessment of our alien allies? Can we trust them? Sarah looked at the communications from various species. General, I've been studying their responses to the Firstborn revelation. For most of them, this isn't about politics or territory. It's about family. They genuinely see humans as their genetic relatives. The war room doors opened, and Captain Lisa Turner entered with urgent news. General, I've just returned from the Outer Rim. The situation is more serious than we thought. The Crimson Talons have allies. Paul turned to face her. What kind of allies? Other aggressive species that reject the idea of shared ancestry. They're calling themselves the Pure Blood Coalition. They believe that mixing genetic heritage makes species weak. Dr. Kim pulled up intelligence reports. General, the Pure Blood Coalition includes the Ironclaw Syndicate, the Venom Spine Collective, and at least 6 other militaristic species. They're claiming that the Firstborn were invaders who corrupted natural evolution. Paul studied the enemy force estimates. How many ships are we looking at? Captain Turner consulted her datapad. Combined enemy forces include over 3,000 warships. They're not just trying to destroy humans, General. They want to eliminate any species that acknowledges Firstborn heritage. The communications panel activated with an incoming message from Sky Ripper Vex of the Crimson Talons. The massive red bird appeared on screen, his black eyes filled with hatred. "Human General," Vex screeched, "your species claims to carry the blood of ancient hunters, but you are weak prey pretending to be predators. We will cleanse the galaxy of your false lineage." Paul stepped forward. "Sky Ripper Vex, we don't want war. The Firstborn legacy belongs to all species." "There's no need for conflict," Vex's beak clacked angrily. "The ancient hunters were conquerors, not diplomats. If you truly carry their blood, prove it in battle. We challenge humanity to the final hunt. Winner takes the right to claim the Firstborn legacy." The transmission ended, leaving the war room in tense silence. Paul realized that this wasn't just about territory or resources. The Pure Blood Coalition was forcing humanity to prove their worthiness as inheritors of the Firstborn tradition. "General," Dr. Kim said quietly, "this is exactly what the Keeper warned us about. The real test isn't whether we can fight. It's whether we can unite the galaxy against a common threat." Paul looked at the tactical display showing allied fleets from dozens of species moving to defend human worlds. "Then we'd better prove that the ancient hunters taught us more than just how to kill. They taught us how to survive by working together." The greatest test of humanity's claim to the Firstborn legacy was about to begin, but they wouldn't face it alone. Admiral Karen Lee stood on the bridge of the flagship Alliance watching the massive battle unfold around the Firstborn facility. Ships from 30 different species fought together against the Pure Blood Coalition fleet. Explosions lit up the darkness of space as the two forces clashed. "Admiral, the Crimson Talons are making another push toward the facility," reported Lieutenant Commander Davis from the tactical station. "They're trying to break through our defensive line." Karen watched the red enemy ships dive toward the ancient structure. The Firstborn facility was too important to lose. All the genetic records and historical data were stored inside its crystalline core. "Signal the Zephyrian Pride ships," Karen ordered. "Tell them to intercept the Crimson Talon strike force." On the communication screen, Huntmaster Veltar appeared from his ship. "Admiral Lee, the Pride stands ready." "We will not let them destroy the sacred knowledge," Karen nodded. "Huntmaster, coordinate with Stormfang Kyras. His Void Hunters can flank the enemy while you hit them head-on." The battle had been raging for 6 hours. The Pure Blood Coalition had brought more ships than expected, but the Allied forces were fighting with a determination that surprised everyone. Species that had been enemies for centuries were working together to protect the firstborn legacy. "Admiral," called Dr. Tim Anderson from the science station, "I'm detecting something strange from inside the facility." "The Keeper's hologram is active again?" Karen turned to look at the readings. "Can you establish communication?" "Trying now, Admiral." The main screen flickered to life, showing the interior of the facility. The Keeper of Memory appeared, but this time the hologram looked more solid, more real. "Admiral Lee," the Keeper sighed, "the final test has begun." The firstborn knew this moment would come. When their children were ready to claim their true inheritance, they would have to prove they understood the real meaning of the hunt. Karen felt a chill run down her spine. "What do you mean, Keeper?" "The Pure Blood Coalition believes that strength comes from isolation, from keeping bloodlines separate and pure. But the firstborn knew that true strength comes from unity. The hunt is not about the individual predator, but about the pack that hunts together." Explosions rocked the ship as enemy fire struck their shields. Karen gripped the command chair. "Keeper, we're trying to protect the facility, but we're outnumbered." The Keeper smiled. "Admiral, you have already won. Look around you. Species that have never trusted each other are fighting side by side. The Zephyrians and Void Hunters were ancient enemies, but now they coordinate their attacks. The Frostwalkers and Sand Dwellers come from opposite types of worlds, but they share the same purpose." On the tactical display, Karen could see what the Keeper meant. The Allied fleet was moving like a single organism. Each species used their unique strengths to support the others. The fast Void Hunter ships provided reconnaissance, while the heavily armored Zephyrian vessels took point positions. "Admiral," Dr. Anderson called out, "the genetic scanners are picking up something incredible. The stress of battle is activating dormant genetic codes in all the Allied species. They're becoming more coordinated, more unified." Karen watched as the Allied ships began moving in perfect formation. "It's like they're remembering how to hunt together." The Keeper nodded. The firstborn programmed this response into all their children. When facing a threat that could destroy them all, the ancient hunting instincts would activate. But it only works when different species fight together as one pack. On the communication channel, Sky Ripper Vex's voice crackled with anger. "Impossible. Pure species do not work together. Each must prove their own strength." Karen opened a channel to the Crimson Talon leader. "Sky Ripper Vex, you're wrong about the firstborn. They didn't believe in pure bloodlines. They believed in shared strength." "Lies!" Vex screeched. "The ancient hunters were conquerors." The Keeper's voice echoed across all communication channels. "Sky Ripper Vex, you have misunderstood the greatest truth. The firstborn were not conquerors. They were teachers. They taught every species how to hunt, how to survive, and how to grow stronger together." The battle around the facility was reaching its climax. The Pure Blood Coalition had concentrated their forces for a final assault, but the Allied fleet was ready. Ships from dozens of worlds moved in perfect coordination, each species supporting the others. "Admiral," reported Nicole Clark from the Marine Station, "our boarding parties are ready to defend the facility interior if the enemy breaks through." Karen nodded. "All units, prepare for the final engagement." The Crimson Talon fleet charged toward the facility in a massive formation. But as they approached, something unexpected happened. The Allied ships didn't meet them with brute force. Instead, they moved like a hunting pack, surrounding the enemy and cutting off their escape routes. "This is impossible!" Vex screamed over the communications. "How can so many different species work together?" The Keeper's voice was calm. "Because they remember what you have forgotten. The hunt is not about destroying others. It is about protecting what matters most." The battle ended not with a massive explosion, but with the Pure Blood Coalition fleet surrounded and helpless. Faced with the choice between destruction and surrender, most of the enemy ships chose to surrender. "Admiral," Dr. Anderson said, "I'm reading massive genetic changes in all the Allied species. The battle stress has activated evolutionary adaptations that make them more compatible with each other." Karen realized what was happening. The firstborn planned this. They knew that when their children were ready, they would need to work together to face a greater threat. The Keeper appeared on screen one final time. Admiral Lee, the test is complete. Humanity has proven they understand the true meaning of the ancient gaze. You have united the galaxy not through conquest, but through shared purpose. Karen looked at the fleet around her. Ships from 30 different worlds, all working together to protect their common heritage. What happens now, Keeper? Now you build something the firstborn could only dream of. A galactic civilization where all species hunt together, not as predators and prey, but as family. The Keeper's final words echoed through space. The ancient gaze you carry in your eyes is not the stare of a predator. It is the gaze of a teacher, ready to guide others toward a greater understanding of what it means to be alive in this vast galaxy. As the Allied fleet began rescue operations for the defeated enemy, Karen realized that the real victory wasn't military. It was the proof that different species could work together, that the firstborn legacy was about unity, not dominance. The ancient hunt had finally ended. The greatest prey had been caught not by a single predator, but by an entire galaxy working as one pack. And in the eyes of every species, the ancient gaze now carried a new meaning. Hope for a future where all could hunt together among the stars.